that the Jews seek a sign, and Greeks seek wisdom. And none of that is coming. None of that is coming. The only thing that comes is Christ and Him crucified, St. Paul says. That's the only thing we preach. We don't preach wisdom. We don't preach signs. We don't preach anything. All we preach is Christ crucified. The day I was ordained to the holy priesthood, I kneeled at the altar, and Bishop Boris, of blessed memory, put his hands on my head. But before he said the prayer, he knelt down, and he whispered in my ear, and he said, Father John, remember the rest of your life, no matter what kind of programs you talk about, no matter what kind of things you do, no matter what kind of words you are tempted to preach, you need to remember only one thing, and that is Jesus Christ and Him crucified. It is the crucified Lord that gives meaning to everything. He is the wisdom. He is the sign. But this day looks like anything but what we think it is. This day looks like the ultimate victory of darkness, the ultimate victory of the demons, the ultimate victory of this world. Because who in the world would expect this Messiah to come and to be hanging, dead, broken, bloody on a cross? Nobody, not even Hollywood, would expect that. And yet, that's who He is. And Paul also says in that same letter to the Corinthians that the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing. It's foolishness. The world does not understand the cross. The world does not understand Christ. And you and I are in a continual, lifelong, eternal battle to decide whether we walk with the world or we walk with Christ. We have to make choices all the time. Moral choices, ethical choices, choices about how to live our lives, choices about where to be on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. All sorts of choices that we have to make. And very often, we have to admit, the world wins. The world wins. That we think sometimes deep down in ourselves that we can balance it. We can give God a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we can give the world a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But our God's a jealous God. And Christ didn't come and die for nothing. He didn't come to die for a part of us. He didn't come to die for a little piece of our time. Christ came to die for everyone and for everything. And if we think that we can cheat Him, if we think that we can come up and venerate His body now, weep our tears, come and sing Christ is risen tomorrow night, and then go back to kind of like dabbling in the faith again, offering Him a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of time, then we are sadly, completely, and God forbid, eternally mistaken. This is not a day of human victory. This is a day of divine victory. That in the blood and in the suffering, in the meaninglessness of all of that in a human sense, God shines forth. And it is on this day that our salvation is assured. Because it is on this day that the devil, in his delusion, thinks that he has won. Because he got the world to crucify the Savior. But in hell, Lucifer, the devil, is going to find out a very painful and very difficult lesson. And that's what we will continue to celebrate until we come to the empty tomb. So on this day of the cross, on this day of death and crucifixion, on this day of folly, of foolishness, let us make sure that each and every one of us pray to God that we be filled with the only wisdom that counts, the only wisdom that matters, the only wisdom that's real wisdom, and that's Jesus Christ and Him crucified. If we crucify ourselves with Him, then we shall also rise. We've each been crucified in the sacrament of baptism and risen in the sacrament of baptism. And now we need to live that baptism, that crucifixion, that resurrection, that gift of the Holy Spirit out in the way that we celebrate and continue to celebrate the victory that is about to be won. So on this day, may God bless you all with the peace and the wisdom of seeing Him in His this ultimate victory, and may He bless all of us with the health, the desire, and the attitude to continue the journey and to come to the empty tomb and to see the resurrection. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Wisdom. Fearful sufferings, the life-creating cross, and voluntary burial in the flesh, for our sake and for our salvation, Christ our true God, through the prayers of His most pure Mother, the holy, glorious, and all-praised apostles, of the holy and righteous ancestors of God, Joachim and Anna, and of all the saints, have mercy on us and save us, for as much as He is good and loves mankind. Following service, everyone, of course, is